sort of just rotate away and, you know, walk away from it. But if that's like a Grok PK ult, you're going to have to use something pretty extreme. You might have to use an ultimate to try to disengage from that ult combo, because it's a very good one at sort of catching people out in rotations. And lastly, how important is the space that you're giving versus the space you're getting, right? Like, this is the ultimate sort of thing that you need to think about, and thing that's going to decide if this is correct play, right? Remember, it's the right play if you can disengage and still win the fight after, right? And so the most important thing to think about with that is, what space are we giving and what space are we getting? Now, often this really important question is going to be defined by two things. And the first stage basically is your draft. So some champions are just naturally better at sort of kiting away, and some champions are naturally better at standing.
Prepare for battle.
So for example, Cassie and Tyra, right? Cassie has a role, she has disengaged, she's very good at sort of like kiting people away and falling back, although they're very similar champions, right? Tyra, on the other hand, is much better at like standing in fight areas. She has no mobility, but she has like a lot of health, and she can either go to like DR or a firebomb, and it's really hard to push into her, and all this sort of things that makes her at her ability to stand in fight. So while they may like sort of fill the same backline DD mid-range role in a team comp, this specific one important question or thing you need to think about when deciding whether you should fight or not, and it's, what space are you giving up, right? If that space is super important to you, if it's necessary to you, give it up. However, if it's not very important, it's more likely to give it up. So sometimes you should space, and everything else is sort of subpar priorities. Right? And so on certain stage, teams are much more likely to stand and fight at this position up here than they are to kite away from it, because they don't really have anywhere to do those are very like good kiting maps. Those are sometimes what we call rotational maps, because all of the space around mid is relatively good. It's sort of, you know, there's no like defined space, so kiting is very easy and valuable. You don't really ever have to give up whereas here, like you can see, this space is much more valuable than all the other space. So you're much more likely to succeed. Now, just lastly, something I want to say about the speed option is something that often gets overlooked, and it's your point So a lot of maps are designed in this way, where they both split the neutral games mid like this. The way that point tanks play is they go on point for a while and then they start back to a position, and in these neutral mid positions, often it's quite easy for the point tanks to go back and right. So if you have all this you have to walk out of LOS of operation, right? That's a very right. However, as soon as the rotations start happening, the area that the point tank has to move back to is
Five in a row.
How the teams changes, how the space changes. So, for example, let's say a blue team comes into this space and says, let's play up high ground, and red team just like rotates and moves it up and goes over to this area of the map. So then your split looks more like this, with essentially a 90 shift happens to while you may now have both priority 1 spaces, which is generally going to be better for them, it actually makes the main tank's job a little bit harder, right? Because if you look at where the main tank can go now, the red team now has LOS on here, this, and they sort of all the old ones take back, so now the tank has to fall back like LOS, and they have to go all the way back to like over here. They have to work past one wall and go through a corridor and then go back to get safe over there, or they have to go like all the way out through very awkward, right? Like the main tanks, while your team got better space and more good positions to everyone else, the main tanks got a little bit harder to back out, and instead So it's just something you have to be aware of, right? Usually you're going to have other advantages that sort of counteract for this. Like if in this example, your DPS should be able to poke point and poke the enemy DPS much more effectively than they can because of the superior positioning that you have. So you do have like that advantage going for you, but you do also have to think about, like, especially if you're a main tank, or if you're relying on sort of this game plan of sitting on point, you have to be very aware that it's a lot easier for your main tank to get picked